Here's a question for you. What do these have in common? Insider trading, flight data leaks, and defamation. They've all happened around BTS, and legal actions are being taken. So this video breaks down 3 active court cases involving HYBE and BTS. First, HYBE employees convicted for insider trading before BTS military hiatus, and BTS flight info being sold by an airline employee to stalker networks. And third, V and Jungkook's lawsuit against the Defamation channel on YouTube named 탈덕수용소, aka 소장. Okay, so this video is divided into 3 parts. Let's start with part 1. Insider trading. So, if you remember, on June 14th, 2022, BTS announced their temporary group hiatus through a YouTube video titled BTS 방탄소년단 찐 방탄회식 2022 BTS Festa. And yeah, this video is a heartbreaking one that a lot of armies could not bear to watch it until all members got discharged from the military. Now, the very next day, HYBE stock price crashed by nearly 25%, which is understandable because, the investors were like, oh my goodness, BTS is they're stopping their group activities. But not everyone lost money. 3 HYBE affiliated employees got out just in time. They sold off all their shares before the announcement and avoided losses amounting to nearly 230 million Korean won. Now, the court didn't take this lightly. On July 22nd, 2025, the Seoul Southern District Court issued its ruling. All 3 individuals were convicted of violating Korea's Capital Markets Act. Okay, one current Source Music employee, who's a 38-year-old surnamed Kim, received a 10-month prison sentence, suspended for 2 years, and a fine of 231 million Korean won. A former Belief Lab employee, 42 years old, received 6 months, suspended for 2 years, and a 65 million Korean won fine. And a former Big Hit Music employee, 34 years old, got the same suspended sentence with a 51 million Korean won fine. The court also ordered that the exact amount of loss they avoided be paid back as part of the financial penalties. And these weren't just random employees. All 3 had served in key roles, departments like visual, creative, and artist protocol, where access to content, timelines, schedules, and internal conversations is part of the job. The court records show that the defendants had directly questioned video production staff about when BTS announcement would go public. One even messaged colleagues urging them to sell stock quickly, leaving behind a digital paper trail. Now, their defense argued that they didn't know BTS military enlistment qualified as material non-public information. But the court strongly disagreed. They said BTS is a core asset for HYBE. The suspension of full group activities inevitably impacts revenue. Judge Kim Sang-yeon stated, this qualifies as information that would influence investor decisions. Importantly, the court emphasized not the profit gained, but the losses avoided. They stated using insider information to avoid loss constitutes a serious threat to the fairness of capital markets. The ruling stated, handing down suspended sentences and fines matching the amount of evaded losses, like I mentioned before. Interestingly, this ruling came on the same day and from the same courtroom as a completely different verdict in a similar insider trading case. In that case, the former CEO of a biotech firm, SD Biotech, was acquitted despite also allegedly acting on insider information. Now, the key difference was that intent and execution. So while the biotech executive indirectly disposed of shares by defaulting on a loan, thereby triggering a forced sale, the HYBE employees explicitly sold their stock after obtaining confidential information and discussing it in real time. So in short, one was ruled passive and the other was ruled premeditated. So this comparison highlights, a critical distinction in Korean securities law. Like having access to insider information isn't always a crime necessarily. What matters is how that information is used. So in HYBE's case, the direct, timely and deliberate stock sales tied to BTS hiatus announcement left little doubt about intent. Now, the idea that HYBE insiders exploited BTS deeply personal matters like group hiatus and military enlistment decision for financial gain could feel like a betrayal for investors and fans alike. But the threat to BTS hasn't just come from within HYBE's walls. In another case, just as disturbing, someone sold access not to stock but to the members themselves. So here's part 2. Black market flight leaks. In July 2025, prosecutors indicted 3 people, including an employee at a foreign airline, for illegally obtaining and selling confidential flight information of BTS and other Korean celebrities. Okay? The suspects were referred to the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office in July 2025, following a months-long cyber investigation that exposed an illicit trade network in private celebrity data. At the center of the case is a former airline worker identified only as Person A. According to the Seoul Metropolitan Police, the Person A used internal access to obtain unauthorized flight reservation details for Kpop idols, including members of BTS. The person then sold the data for cash to intermediaries, known as distributors, who resold the information through open group chats and direct messages on platforms like KakaoTalk and Instagram, and I'm pretty sure Telegram is one of them. And the monetary reward, what happened to that? Investigators estimate that the Person A alone made tens of millions of Korean won, which is equivalent to like tens of thousands of dollars. Now, the data for sale ranged from simple flight numbers and departure times to more sensitive details, including seat assignments and in-flight meal choices. In some cases, buyers could even pay extra for real-time updates or access to reservation systems. But this wasn't just a case of fans wanting to spot their favorite celebrities at the airport. The implications went much further. According to police and HYBE, the illegal data was used by obsessive fans, known in Korea as sasaengs, to board the same flight as idols, sit nearby, and attempt physical contact mid-flight. In other incidents, these individuals tampered with flight meal orders, swapped seat assignments, or even canceled the artist's reservations entirely, which disrupts their schedules and placing both celebrities and other passengers at risk. The actions, HYBE said, went beyond privacy violations into the realm of stalking and potential physical danger. Now, HYBE had been quietly preparing for a moment like this. In late 2023, the company formed a dedicated task force to monitor unauthorized access to artists' flight data and track illegal activity on social media. Over 2 years, HYBE identified multiple accounts trading in confidential information, collected digital evidence, and filed formal complaints with the police. The investigation culminated in February 2025 when the Person A that I mentioned before was arrested. 2 accomplices were caught in March. Now, this is the first time the original source of the flight data, not just the sellers, has been apprehended, which marks a critical precedent in celebrity data protection enforcement. In a statement, a HYBE representative said on July 22nd, selling or buying illegally obtained flight information is a clear violation of the law. It threatens our artists' safety, causes public anxiety, and poses serious risk to airport and aircraft security. We will pursue these cases to the end with a strict zero tolerance policy. No settlements, no leniency. And yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Now, the scale of the problem is broader than just BTS. Other HYBE artists, including ENHYPEN and TXT, have recently reported similar invasions. In one case, ENHYPEN's seats were pre-assigned without their consent by individuals who used illegally obtained personal information to register with the airline. Like, God knows, like, how this happens. Now, TXT member Taehyun even shared that someone had altered the member's in-flight meals before departure. So he shared on Weverse. I just don't understand how someone can change another person's meal choice like that. He said in frustration on Weverse on June 29th. Tracking the source of these leaks, it proved difficult. The transactions often took place in anonymous chat rooms, and the sellers frequently used, offshore accounts or foreign phone numbers. Airline cooperation was limited, making it difficult to trace who accessed what and when. And in many cases, the companies didn't even respond to HYBE's request for system logs, according to industry insiders. Nonetheless, the successful indictment of the supplier marks a rare win in the battle to protect artist privacy. HYBE has vowed to continue its collaboration with law enforcement and has already requested improved data safeguards from airlines and travel agencies. And internally, the company is reviewing all procedures related to artist scheduling and travel logistics. And also, the broader entertainment industry is watching, the sale of flight data, which is once brushed off as this gray area of fan culture, which is weird, is now being prosecuted as a crime. The question is whether this case will serve as a lasting deterrent or if it's merely the tip of the iceberg. Okay. By the way, this Taehyun's Weverse message was posted from last year, June 29th of 2024, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Now, but even as HYBE cracked down on physical breach, we got to talk about another threat that had loomed online, which is a digital smear campaign targeting BTS members directly. And this time, V and Jungkook had enough. Okay, so here's part 3. No settlements, no silence. In March 2023, BTS members V and Jungkook, along with Big Hit Music, filed a civil lawsuit against a YouTuber running a channel called 탈덕수용소, which could be translated as like X Fan Detention Center. That channel is also known as 소장 in English. They claim, BTS members at V and Jungkook and Big Hit claim that the YouTuber had repeatedly uploaded malicious and false videos that defamed the artist and disrupted the company's operations. And they sought 90 million Korean won in damages. And we have talked about this particular channel a couple times or a few times on my channel. And yes, the channel was infamous for churning out malicious rumors and conspiracy videos about Kpop idols. It was known for targeting high-profile, Kpop idols with malicious claims, conspiracy theories, and clickbait rumors. So since October 2021, the operator had posted dozens of videos accusing celebrities of misconduct, many of which were quickly debunked or proven baseless. And the channel wasn't just limited to BTS. Other idols like Kang Daniel and IVE of Chang Won-young of IVE were also subject to its allegations. And some of those cases have led to separate civil and criminal proceedings that are still ongoing. Now, in the first trial, the court ordered the YouTuber to pay a total of 7.6 million Korean won in damages. 5.1 million to Big Hit, 1 million to V, and sorry, no, that is too little. So 76 million Korean won in damages. So 15 million to Big Hit, 10 million to V, and 15 million Korean won to Jungkook. But Sojang appealed the decision. So the Seoul Western District Court then proposed a settlement before trial resumed, which is a chance to resolve things quietly. But mediation failed, and that negotiation has now broken down. So on July 21st, 2025, the court officially confirmed that the case will return to the courtroom for a full appellate trial. Legal experts say that the case could set a precedent for how South Korea's judicial system handles coordinated defamation and copyright abuse on anonymous digital platforms. Now, HYBE has consistently taken a zero-tolerance stance toward online defamation, as we all know. The company has repeatedly stated that it will pursue legal action without seeking settlements, especially when artists' reputation and mental well-being are involved. And as this case re-enters the court system, I think people are going to pay attention to how South Korean judges will weigh freedom of speech against digital harassment and whether the legal system can keep pace with the rapidly evolving landscape of internet defamation. And for V and Jungkook, taking legal action was about drawing the line. Not just for themselves, but for every artist subject to smear campaign, masquerading as content. So, yeah, as we have discussed, 3 cases, 3 forms of violation. Insiders, betraying trust for financial gain, and strangers selling access to private lives, and anonymous trolls weaponizing content to destroy reputations. And these 3 cases all point to the same uncomfortable truth that being famous doesn't protect you. It just makes you more vulnerable. And for artists like BTS, who have built their careers on closeness and trust with fans, that kind of exposure comes with a price. But what stands out in all of this is how they responded. From my perspective, HYBE didn't brush it off, and BTS didn't stay silent. Whether it was insider trading, personal privacy, or online defamation, they pushed back, and not just to defend themselves, but to draw a line around what fan culture should never cross. Okay, and for fans, for other artists, for anyone who believes people deserve basic respect, these cases are like a reminder that what happens behind the scenes also matters too. Okay, so what do you think? Where should the line be between fandom and privacy? And do companies like HYBE have a responsibility to act faster, or do you think are they already doing all they can? And when artists take legal action like this, does it actually help set boundaries, or does that risk making things worse? So let me know what you think in the comments. And when you write comments, as always, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Thank you guys. Peace and love. Bye-bye.